She smiled at the whole class. Our tails were all still wagging, and then when the judges left, she turned to me and said, "What a fucking guy." So this was open class day. It's a day when like the board came to look at me and my co-teacher teach. It's the first time she actually showed up to class, because who would show up for class? And then I learned something really interesting about the way they teach English in Korea, at least at that time. So I would say something, and then my students would listen to my co-teacher repeat it in Hangul. And then I would say something, and then all of my students would turn to my co-teacher, who would repeat what I said in Hangul. And I was like, what? It was so crazy to me. But what was really, really cute was my students. So these were my naughtiest boys. There were like 13 insanely naughty boys. But today I was like, listen, guys. And I got so serious. They're not used to me being very serious. I was like, listen, guys. There's gonna be some people coming to watch us, do this class today, do this performance. If you guys don't play along with me, you will never see me again. Dun, dun, dun. And so they were like, what? No. Because, we do a lot of fun stuff in my classes. I try to keep it entertaining and fun for them. And so they were like, no. And they got like military serious. And the boy was like, okay, teacher. And all of them got like really uppity. And it was so cute. It was the first time I had a beautiful, engaging class, and I was always mad after this class because of how well these boys could speak English, and they were just messing with me. They are very cute. Meanwhile, in South Africa, if you were in an Afrikaans class and you started to speak English, the teacher would throw you out. There's no second guessing. And if you had enough attitude, then the teacher would let you pick a boy, and then the boy, how can I put this? He gets the blank. And if you were a boy, you get the blank. And in my dad's life, this is the 80s, when things were still a bit wild, when the men were men and the women were also men. So back in the 80s, you basically also got the blank. I am an ass. And you stood outside of class because, it's either swim or drown. There's no middle point in South Africa. But it was really interesting to me as a teacher going from Korea to Russia, because in Korea it's all about like translation as a method, and they're really good at like listening comprehension and reading. They will not speak until it's perfect. So my open class was not education, it was a performance. And it's really interesting because I think Korea's uncertainty avoidance is like 85 out of 100. Their collectivism sits at like 18. Meanwhile, in South Africa, and it's really interesting because in their society, it's not like a mistake is just a little error. A mistake is a social injury. And that's kind of wild. For us, a mistake is also a social injury, which was interesting because like I thought it was this very Afrikaans thing to be like shy in class and only want to say it if it's right. But apparently we share with the Koreans. Meanwhile, when I went to Russia, it's say it loud, say it with your chest. Say it wrong, it doesn't matter. As long as you say it confidently and sound. So this is something that made me so crazy in Russia. When I taught students there, they would not be able to say, the cat is sitting on the mat, but they wanted to say all kinds of like multilingual words, multisyllabic words that just had no place in the sentence, and they thought it made them sound smart, but I think it just made them sound incredibly pompous. Now I have in between changed my mind about this, because maybe, once you learn to say the cat is sitting on the mat, you can use fluffier words to make you sound smarter, but in general. However, to Russia's credit, one day I was in an A2 class, and I was like, hey guys, how are you, what's up? And one of the guys was like, normal. And I was like, what? And he was like, no, normal. I was like, what is normal? As opposed to crazy? But no, in Russian you can say нормально, and it's a completely valid response. How are you? Normal. And I honestly think we're missing that in English. Like, we should have a normal. So 3 countries, 3 classrooms, 3 wildly different ways of seeing the world and how we come out at the other end. Korea's don't speak until it's perfect. South Africa's swim or drown, and Russia's like say it and it doesn't matter if it's wrong or not. Because it's, language teaching isn't about a language, it's about the values transported by that language. And I'll tell you more about that in my Substack.
Say bye, Teddy. Bye.